folks, I'm Vasel. Welcome to Look Back. This is a video where I go back and take a look a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago at the reviews I did then and what I think of them. So let's go back last year. So first we're going to start off with A Dog's Life. Now this one, Melody had given this one a 6. I don't think I did. And for me, this one just, Melody might still like it, but this has a lot of cool things about it. Nice production, strong theme, dogs running around delivering bones, peeing on their territories, but there's just too much luck in the game. Some people are going to like it, probably not me. Fuji Flush is a little card game in which you're trying to play a card higher than the last person. A lot of people seem to really enjoy this one. I didn't hate it when I played it, but it's just kind of very ho-hum for me, like an Uno variant. Candy Time. This is about matching cards down and connecting candies and cookies and things like that. That's a cool concept. I like the idea. I like the theming, but it's just a little too random. Then we have Copy or No Copy. Now the new name of this one is Pinpoint nowadays. In this one, you're looking at a card and you're trying to figure out which object on that card is the original. Each other object in the card has been changed in a slight way. I like that concept. It's fun for kids. And very similar is Fast Flip, where you're turning a card over and you're looking for at all the different fruits on this card, and you might be looking for there might be a number, so 5. So which fruit is there exactly 5 of? Or might say bananas, and then how many bananas are they? It's a quick speed game for kids, but has a nice twist to it. 13 Days, the Cuban Missile Crisis. This is an excellent little game. It's like Twilight Imperium, or Twilight Struggle, sorry, condensed down to a much smaller game where you're trying not to blow each other up. Now the problem with this game is that it's shorter. I shouldn't say the problem, but the fact is that it's a shorter version of Twilight Struggle. It's not as good as Twilight Struggle. It just isn't. But it's still a really solid little game, almost like this brinksmanship. Like, how close am I going to push someone else to blowing up the world? I took a look at 2 expansions for Eldritch Horror, both of them the large box ones, the Mountains of Madness, based on the popular thing there. Both of these, and then the second one here, Under the Pyramids. Both of these I like a lot. They had a big board, sideboard to the game, and extra stuff. But you don't really would play with both of these at the same time, just parts of each. And A Vikings Gone Wild. This deck building game, which I really enjoyed because it just has a different feel from the rest. You have a deck building, you're buying different cards, getting resources with these cards. Sometimes resources, physical resources. And then attacking enemies, the Vikings at the top. I think what I really liked about this, you get a powerful card that nobody else had. So this one has really done well for me. Santorini, this game is phenomenally good. A high rating from me, a 2-player abstract strategy game. Well, I guess 2 to 3, but best with 2 in my opinion. Where each player is trying to just move a piece to the top of a building, very easy. But you each have a god which is going to really change the rules of the game. Still one of my favorite games. Now we'll jump back 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I took a look at Nox. This was just it's just an okay game. Didn't really do a lot for me at the time. Then there's Grandpa Beck's Golf, in which you're trying to get rid of cards. In front of you, there are these rows of cards. I don't know. Grandpa Beck's games don't seem to be that where I'm at. They're more pointed towards the mass market. So this one just wasn't that interesting to me. Robotrock. This is a game where you have a bunch of robots in the middle and you're trying to move around it. It's kind of an interesting thing where you're all moving around this board, getting the pieces that you need to build your robot. And then I took a look 5 years ago at the minigame library. This is from Level 99. This was one of their first games that they had. A bunch of small games in one, library container. I don't think this is a good idea, honestly. And in fact, you saw the 2 most popular games from this minigame library have gone on to be big games by themselves. One of them being Noir, which is a fantastic, good little deduction game, a back and forth 2-player deduction game, and Pixel Tactics, which is just a really fun 2-player game where you have these little grids of cards, and where you put the card in the grid determines its powers. Both really good. 10 years ago, I took a look at Monster Quest, which was horrific. And is still horrific. It is like everything bad about a dungeon game. Black and white, roll and move, see what happens, just a mess. I also took a look at the Markets of Altorian, which, incidentally enough, in that review I said, Mayfair's components are getting better and better. That was probably the high point of Mayfair's component quality. But this game, it's basically, it's like Monopoly, but there's multiple pieces. It's this big, beautiful, gorgeous game, but there's not really a very strong game in there. It's okay at best. Phoenicia has dropped considerably for me. And that's because this game, which I thought was a really cool engine building game with really bad rules, one of the first games I ever got to, I literally couldn't figure it out. I had to go online and find something to help me play the game. But Phoenicia just has been decimated by its younger cousin, which is Race for the Galaxy, both designed by the same designer. Phoenicia is this engine building game, get this, to do this, to build this. Race for the Galaxy does it in a much more streamlined fashion. I really like it. So Phoenicia, and also Phoenicia has a very bland, boring look to it. Still a good game, don't get me wrong, just there's no reason to play it anymore. And then finally, Brass. Brass, which is being reprinted this year. Brass is a phenomenal game for many people. For me, it's good, it's heavy, there's a lot going on in it, but it's not something that I want to play all the time, or hardly ever, honestly. There's just too much thinkiness. I like that there's two distinct phases of the games. The canals and the railroads parts of the game has a strong historical flavor. The original version wasn't that beautiful, but the new one is absolutely gorgeous. So again, there's a lot of people like it, probably not me as much anyway. Anyway, that's what I reviewed a year, 5 years, 10 years ago. This has been Look Back. I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.